Hey y'all, it's your girl Summer Nicole with God Plus Therapy, and you are tuning in to another episode of Holistic Grace, where we are focused on unifying the mind, body, and spirit. So today we're doing it a little bit different. We're not in the studio, we are actually in my home, and I have some special guests with me, some friends that I've known for years, and some that I've just met over the last couple of years. And we all have our own individual stories. If you've been seeing the flyer, this is Life After Papers, love, life, and lessons after and through divorce. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We have shared this Facebook Live. So if you could do me a favor and share it with your friends as well, so we can get the views up and actually engage in conversation. So, again, I'm your host, Summer Nicole, and I'm going to allow my guests to introduce themselves and we're going to get into it. So, Konica, we'll start with you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Konica Butler. I have recently been married now going on 5 years. So, life after divorce, I did find it again.
Cool.
Hey everybody, I'm Rodney Cooper. Just call me Coop. Praise Jesus. Um, I've been divorced going on now 6 years. Was recently engaged probably 4 years ago. Now it's just me and Jesus. Praise the Lord.
That's all you need.
I am Chandise, Janeese. You know, when you get divorced, you drop the last name on
That's
Facebook.
right.
That's what you women do. I knew it. That's what y'all
You
do.
drop the last name on Facebook and just, first and middle. So Chandise, Janeese. Um, I have been officially divorced going on 4 years now. And yeah, I'm in a great place in my life. And we'll get there when we get there.
Right. So if you've been following me for a little while, you already know my story. But for those of you that are new, I'll share just a little bit. I was married for 11 years. Met and married my husband in 6 months. Had our first child within the first few months of being married. And we have a total of 3 children. And I am a little over a year divorced. So I think I'm the fresh one here. So we're about to get into it. So tell us, Chandise, a little bit about your marriage, your story, your divorce.
Okay, so I was married in 2015. I was 22 years old when I got married. Um and I actually moved to Detroit. That's where my ex-husband was from. So that's where I lived. Um, the marriage was great in the beginning. Everything when it's new and fresh, of course, it's good, it's great. Ooh. We had our daughter in 2016. So we married in 2015, had our daughter in 2016. And then it's just kind of when things kind of got a little rocky, at that point. Once I had her, we weren't on the same page. We weren't agreeing on a lot of things. Um, it was a lot of okay. Lord, y'all okay. Why I have to go first?
Sorry.
Lord, I want Cooper to go first, tell all his business first, and then
Don't do too much.
I could have told mine. But I guess the main reason why I decided, because I was the one that wanted the divorce. He did not want the divorce. I would say that. But I decided that I wanted and needed the divorce, mainly because it was just a lot of controlling things. It was a lot of I didn't work, he worked, and I did not. And it was, um, beneficial sometimes. You like, okay, I don't gotta work, my man work, whatever.
Yeah.
But then it's like, oh, I don't have anything. I'm just, it's just I have to ask you for everything. And it was a lot of, just control, a lot of tug and war. So I am the one that decided, I want to leave the marriage. And yeah, so I got a divorce. We got a divorce in 2020. I left in 2018. came back to Indianapolis with my daughter. At the time, she was only one. And so that was a big thing trying to negate being a single mom now, with a 1-year-old. I wasn't working. So now I'm trying to find a job. I had to move back in with my parents. And that was, a lot in itself as well. But I moved back here in 2018. And then we were officially divorced in 2020.
Okay. Cool. It's time to air your business.
Yes.
Oh, y'all are petty
I
on
wanna
this
hear it.
fine
Let's
day.
go.
I met my ex-wife actually through church. We all was a part of the same Reformation, and so we were all a part of the same group for pastor kids and grandkids. And so we 2012, I seen her and I told my cousin, I said, I'm gonna marry that girl. That's what I said. And so I told her I liked her and whatever. Then nothing really clicked. We stopped talking after a couple months and we started back talking. Then we started dating in 2013. Got engaged 2014. We was married 2015. June 15th, 2015. It was fine. And this is coming from a man's point of view.
That's why you're here.
So backstory is before I got married, I never really lived out on my own. I did, but it didn't work out. So like when I turned 18, I left my mom's house, but I was still living down in our family home with my grandfather. Went to school here in Indianapolis. That's how I ended up in Indianapolis. I came to school here, ended up getting an apartment. Then I moved back home. And so I really never knew the responsibility of taking care of bills, taking care of a house. Now I have the examples, like I seen my uncles do it, I seen my grandfather do it, but I never took on that responsibility. And so we got married. She moved from Baltimore to Joliet. And that was a big thing for her because she come from a large family. And so she literally packed up everything and moved to Joliet. And it wasn't until like recently now that I understood the different emotions that she was having, the different moods that she was having, because you took her out of her norm and placed her into a new normality.
Yeah.
And so that was a problem that started off probably 60 to 90 days within our marriage, because we had people that we per se call seasoned marriages, and they weren't that much seasoned. They had salt and pepper. They had nothing else. It was terrible. And so we're listening to these people because we thinking, hey, they've been married, so we could take their advice. And it went downhill from there.
Yeah.
So, and one preacher told us, told me, he preached and he said, Adam and Eve messed up by allowing the serpent to come in their garden. And he said, when you're married, you should not allow anyone to come in your garden, because that's between you and your wife. And it started happening from probably August of 2015 all the way up until she left. So she was in the city for a whole year of marriage. So 2016, we was having problems then. And for you ones that's watching, because y'all trying to figure out if I'm going to tell y'all all the rumors that she said was true. Some of them true, but some of them ain't true. All right, grace and peace. Anywho, because because people been trying to figure out why, because I didn't say nothing at a divorce. Because why do I need to defame her character? That's not the type of person I am. So we lived together. So on 2017, I could tell you today, January 2017, I was laying in my bed, and at this time we moved out the house, out of our apartment. We was bagged up in rent, and we ended up staying with my aunt and my uncle because we were planning on moving to Tennessee. Tennessee. Oh, it's getting good.
Don't look at me. Don't look at me.
It's getting good now.
It's baby.
And Her parents are in a knocking on the door, and I never forget that thing. It felt like death. I ran down and I told Bishop, I said, "Where's Bishop at?" He wasn't at the church. I called him. I said, "Y'all let them do this to me? Didn't nobody defend me?" The baby said I was beating on her. Baby, I don't even look like a woman beater. I was getting beat up by girls in school because I was taught you don't put your hands on women.
Right.
And baby, when I say that year was pure hell, people that I looked up to tore me down. And I was trying to reconcile because the Bible says,
Come on.
when one want to reconcile, the other one's supposed to reconcile. Now I'm paraphrasing, but that's scripture. We supposed to reconcile because your only grounds for divorce is neglect and infidelity. That's in the gospel. Jesus taught that.
Well,
Neglect and infidelity. I did not cheat on you. And I was not neglecting you. Of course, now, one point of view, not paying bills on time, that's a form of neglect.
Glad.
Very much so.
It's a form of neglect. But guess what though? She can't say that she went without. She can't say she ain't never had meal. I cook most of the time. And so that's the stuff that I dealt with in my marriage. And then the reason why I said Tennessee is because when I got my stuff together, got all that money. I ain't got that money no more, so stop inboxing.
Bye, Cooper.
When I got all that money, I tried to go back and get my wife. And it was too late. Because can I say it, Jenny? I said,
oh gosh.
Tennessee is where her now husband is from. I'll leave it at that. All right, next.
Okay. All right. Moving on to Kanika. We're gonna
All
circle
right.
back.
Don't put me in it.
That's your story.
I mean, mine may not be as interesting as who I've just had the pleasure of really meeting today, but okay. Grace and peace.
Grace,
Grace
mercy, and
and
peace.
All right. I guess I'm a little seasoned one on the panel, and I'll tell my story. I have been married 4 times. You heard me. 4 times. So I got married when I was 19 years old. I grew up in church, Pentecostal all my life, and I just said, Lord, I'm tired of church. I want me somebody out in these streets. I'm tired of living, 7 days a week, all night. I'm tired of these folks. I'm tired of being at home. I'm just tired of it. And I ran into my kid's father. I was 17 and he was 21. Of course, my mother wasn't going to have it because I was too young and she couldn't figure out what a grown man wanted with a 17-year-old. So he waited till I was 18, found me and said, nothing, your mama can't do nothing now. I was scared, but he convinced me.
Go ahead, convince. Go ahead.
He convinced me. So we end up married. I was 19 years old. I much as my mother tried to stop me, I did it. And it was horrible. I saw the signs when we were dating, but I was young. I thought I was running from a bear and ran into a lion. And so between being his possession and being abused, I was no longer Konica, but I belonged to him. And so it took me a long time to get my strength back, to fight back between the abuse. And we were together, I want to say 5 years, but we only really lived together one, because the wind blew too hard. He would pack up and leave me and these babies. And it was difficult for me because I was still young, and we're friends to this day. I mean, so that's my kid's father. Those are the other 2. And because of him, I never had another baby by another man in this world. That was it for me. That was it for me. So then I was single for 8 years, and in between, I had boyfriends and, laid up, whatever I wanted to do. Still running from the calling on my life and still didn't want to be bothered pretty much with the church, but I went. And then I met a guy out of Chicago. I said, now this is something right here. I found me. He was 10 years older, so this time I went older.
Oh my God, today.
I wanted something a little older.
Mm.
So I was in my 30s, and he was in his 40s. I was like, yeah, this is gonna work. And it was great. It was really a nice marriage. We got along. I thought I married my best friend. The problem is we start cheating on each other.
Good Jesus today.
That's the one.
I believed in tit for tat. So he
Mhm.
cheated, I cheated back.
Mm.
He cheated again, I
for an
cheated back.
Right.
An eye for an
That's
eye.
the book.
So and it just got bad. It really got bad. So he took a job in Boston, and he left and took a job, and I was still in Muncie at the time, and I said, okay, we're gonna stay married. I'm gonna stay here and you go there. And I he was doing his thing up there, and I was down in Muncie, and I had a little stuff on the side every now and then. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, yes.
I ain't gonna lie.
Shame the devil.
So I had my old faithfuls that came back.
Old faithfuls.
Everybody got
In between divorces.
Oh God.
So I decided we stopped talking, but I stayed married to him, and because he was still sending me money, and my kids were still on his insurance, and I was still flying for free. So I stayed married, even though
My God.
he had other women, and I didn't call him, I didn't bother him. I never changed the locks of the house, but hey, whatever.
Wait.
You can ask your questions.
Ooh, I almost fell dead. So you ain't never changed the lock. So even if you was doing what you was doing, he could have walked in at
any given time.
Good Jesus today.
Hey, he was still paying bills.
Yeah.
So it was his house.
His house, yeah.
Matter of fact, I went to Vegas one time, and I hadn't seen him for probably about a year and a half. And he called me, and he said, "Hey, you changed the living room around." I said, "Oh, you in the house?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, okay." I kept doing what I was doing. Kept moving the way I was moving. So I finally then I started dating. In between me being married and separated, I started dating my third husband, and we were dating back and forth, and we started getting serious, and he wanted to propose, and I told him, I said, whoa, I ain't gonna get rid of number two.
Right.
If you can't offer no more. Because I'm getting a lot of benefits.
Yeah, I know that's
I fly for free, and I get checks in the mail every week.
Baby,
So if you can't offer nothing else,
baby,
I ain't going that route.
I'm about to go on the floor.
I gotta be honest. I'm being honest.
honest.
I mean, so he let me know, hey, I can take up some things. I was like, okay. So I decided to file for divorce. I said, well, I'm gonna go ahead and file for divorce, and moved to Indy. And each one of these men, I moved in with them before I got married. Big mistake. Each one of them. So I moved to Indy and got with husband number 3. I moved in, and he moved me up here, and he probably watching. You was the worst one out of all of them. But me, you've been friends with me a long time. I'll tell him to his face. It ain't,
You said the worst
out of all of them. And I didn't cheat on him, and you deserved it the most. But I was faithful. I stayed. I got married, and and from the day that I married him, it was hell. The day that I said I do. Matter of fact, the day we got married, I changed my mind because of a situation. But then I went through it. And when I tell you it was a living hell, them 5 years was a living hell. All lost all my. I became an insecure person. Never was that before. Didn't know who I was. Lost my identity. I was being verbally abused while I was still going to church, singing on the praise team, trying to figure out, God, why me?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to figure it out. And then one day, I decided I used to read my Bible, get up at 5:00 in the morning. He decided I'm gonna continue to mess with you and go off on you. He was somebody in the church too.
Ooh.
Always is.
So I made that decision that day that I'm gonna start abusing him back. So he became every MFer, every name. Matter of fact, I hit him on his butt and I said, "Is this the way we gonna live? Bring it, because I'm tired."
Oh.
So I turned into somebody. Actually became an abuser. I was being abused, and then I turned around and became the abuser. I began to abuse the person that was abusing me verbally, real bad. Every name you can, and then told his family what I was saying to him, and then mine. Call my mom and them. I'm calling them all kind of bees, and they on the phone. They said if you just leave her alone, she'll probably be quiet. And it never stopped. I left a couple times, and the second time I left, and I'm gonna wrap up my story, the Lord told me to go back. I said, "Now, why would you want me to go back to hell?" I didn't understand. Why you want me to go back to hell? I'm already out. But you sending me back to hell. So I went back. And as I went back, a pastor said something to me. He said, "Work on you. Stop worrying about him. Work on you." I'm like, why I got to work on him when I need to be hitting him upside? I'm working on me when I need to be hitting him upside his head. I said, but you know what? I'm going to go back and do what the Lord told me to do. And some things happened in between. We had a fire. We lost everything. So everybody know who I'm talking about probably. We lost everything. And I moved in with my sister. And I got up and I said, I'm going to get me an apartment. Now, from the time I was 19, I've never lived by myself. I've always had a man and some kids living with me. Never in my life had I ever had to deal with Konica Latrice. I've always had to deal with a man and some kids. I got me an apartment and I slept on the floor the first night. And I told myself, you're going to deal with you. You're going to deal with Konica. The very person that you scared to look in the mirror and deal with. You're going to deal with her. I dealt with her. I became friends with her. Now, in between, my old men that came in between. Yeah, the first and second and third. Yeah, my old faithful calls and say, "Hey, I hear you divorced. I see you on Facebook." I said,
a lurker.
That's what they do.
I said, I'm not doing that no more. I said, God got something different for me. And he said, but we've always done it. What's the difference now?
Ooh, devil.
You've been in church all this time.
Ooh, Satan.
You've been sleeping with me in between singing. And he was right.
Mm-hmm.
I picked him up every time. He said, so what's the difference? I said, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do it this time.
Mm.
I can't do it this time. So I kept dealing with Konica. I said, ain't nobody coming over. It was a long road, me not sleeping with nobody. Y'all help me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be
now.
honest with me.
Yeah.
I started dealing with my mind, my body. I started walking, hollering, and screaming. But what I tell you, when the transformation came, that's when I found love again, because I began to love me through all the hurt, the abuse, and disappointment. Because I no longer wanted to be an abuser. I no longer, because usually when you go through those things, you become what you don't want to be.
Yes.
The very thing you leave, you pick up and give it to somebody else. Because hurt people hurt people. Heal people bring something to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then I found the love of my life.
That's
Go ahead.
The love of my life. Sweet as he want to be. I'll even do the upgrade ring if y'all want to see it. Sweet as he want to be. Love me for who I am. Love the Lord. And marry me regardless of my stories, my circumstances, my situations. but he wanted to get to know me. And we wanted to love each other because he had been hurt. He had been in an abusive marriage. He had been in some situations. And he had done some things. So we took the time both to heal properly and find out who we're supposed to be. So there, I have found love again after divorce.
Well, go
I
ahead.
love it. I think your story was better than Cooper's.
It was.
It may have been a little more deeper.
Yeah, because I don't want to tell my business on this thing. They ain't gonna be recording me sending me to that other person, the
Okay.
preacher.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure I'm gonna get a couple of inboxes, but it's okay. I can handle me.
It's okay to live in truth.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So y'all ready for my story?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So listen. I said earlier I met and married my husband in 6 months. I was 27. I had a child already. And so at 27, I was looking for a stable father figure for my daughter. I was looking for a companion, right? I struggle with being alone. So I can say that I went into the marriage with the wrong mindset, right? And so I met my husband, my ex-husband, excuse me, at church, was introduced to him by his sister. Dated 6 months, and a few months into dating, I'm like, I'm spending all my time over here. Me and my daughter might as well move in, right? So we move in with him. Everything is fine. And then I get convicted. You in here shacking up and you know better. You've been in church all your life. You know what you're supposed to be doing. So the very next day, I woke up and said, I got convicted. So either we have to get married or I have to move out. Mistake number 2. Moving in was mistake 1. Mistake number 2.
That ultimatum.
Giving an ultimatum. We'll never do it again. But he loved me. And so he was like, okay. Planned my wedding within a few months. Got married in his parents' backyard. Beautiful wedding. And then reality hit. Like, I didn't even want to walk down the steps. I don't know if it was nerves. I don't know if it was me coming to the realization, this ain't probably what I really want to do. But my father was like, Nikki, that's my nickname. Girl, get your butt down these steps. So I'm walking down the steps. So we have a beautiful ceremony, beautiful wedding. And I loved my ex-husband, but I don't know if I was ever in love, right? Because a lot of people say love is what keeps the marriage.
Right.
I don't necessarily agree with that wholeheartedly, but I think there's some truth to it. So we had our first child. I actually lost. So we got married in September. I miscarried in December, and I had my rainbow baby the following January. Then a year and a half after her, I had another child. And then I think 3 years. Jay is what, 9? Elijah 6. Yeah. So 3 years after our second child, we had Elijah. And we have to understand, with more children comes more responsibility,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
And so,
All right, I ain't got them, but you're right.
I'm right. It comes with more responsibility. And again, this is my experience, my truth. I took on the brunt of the responsibility when it came to the children. I'm working full time. I'm taking care of the children, and I'm providing for the house. I'm cooking, I'm cleaning. You know what I mean? And that's years. And so we have conversations about how we both can improve for each other. And we'll improve short term on both ends. I'll put myself in there as well. But it was never something consistent, right? And we did that for 11 years. You understand how taxing and tiring that could be?
Yeah.
Right? For both of us, right? I think for me, number one, I've always struggled with being alone. So I didn't leave probably when I should have. And then I didn't grow up in a 2-parent home, and I wanted my children to be able to experience that. But I came to the realization that I'm not going to live in toxicity, unhappiness for the sake of my children, because bringing them up in that atmosphere is not good for them, right? So I came to the conclusion that I need out. Now, did I get out the right way? No. Okay. I'm just being honest. I didn't leave the right way. And, I take full responsibility and ownership for that. And so my husband actually filed. I wanted the divorce, but he actually filed. And after the divorce, although I wanted it, I didn't deal with it. I didn't really acknowledge it. I'm the type of person that get up and it is what it is. I got to keep going. You know what I'm saying? And then I noticed myself losing weight. This man right here had to pull me to the side and like, yo, sis, what's going on? And I probably lost maybe 40 pounds in a couple of months. And so that's the way that my body dealt with the stress of the divorce, the grief of the divorce, because even though I wanted it, it's still a loss, right? And so now I have found love after divorce. And her name is Summer Nicole.
Okay.
I'm learning.
When she said her, I was a little scared.
We both was like,
I'm learning to love myself. Y'all like how I did that? I'm learning to love, because you was like,
I was like, okay.
I'm learning to love myself. And so now I'm in a place where I'm learning myself over again. You mentioned losing your identity, right? I lost my identity in being a wife, a mother, an employee. I'm in church, I'm active, but I lost who Summer was.
Yeah.
And so now I'm in the season of learning myself, because again, I've only been divorced a year and some months. Learning myself, I'm attempting today. It's hard out here.
It is.
So if you got somebody that's good, stick with them. You don't want to be in these streets. And so now that is the journey that I'm on. Finding and loving me.
Yeah.
It's a rough journey. I ain't gonna hold you. So
I don't mean no harm.
Right. I don't mean no harm. It's a rough journey.
It's a rewarding journey.
Yeah.
Yes, at the end.
Yeah, I mean, through it can be very it can be very rewarding.
Okay, you talking about at the end?
Through the whole process. Yeah, through the process.
When I realized who I was disgusted. Like
self-realization.
Yeah, like I went through bad mental anxiety and depression, because I looked in the mirror one day. I said, Negro, who is you? I said, where did you get here?
Yeah.
And I ended up bringing somebody else in that pain, thinking I'm healed. Because everybody they teach healing a different way. Healing don't come from the outside in; it starts from the inside out. So I started dressing myself up in nice clothes, nice shoes, and all that. But I was hurt on the inside, and it wasn't until my ex-fiance was like, "No, I can't do this." I said, "Oh, Negro,
it's me.
You ain't healed.
It's me.
Grow up."
Yeah. So I see it can be rewarding through the process.
Yeah.
But I think the big reward is at the end, where you discover you.
Yes. Yeah. That's when you get power.
So